Hello and welcome to today's lesson. So we're going to pick up where we left off in the previous lesson, and we're going to be doing some solving for a variable. Solving for a variable. Okay, in this first equation here, they want us to solve for the letter t. So if I draw my line down, I want to get t by itself. And what is by t that we need to move away? And that is the letter G. So because that says a minus G, we are going to add G to both sides. So over here, the whole point of us doing it is that's going to cancel out. And now we can say T equals, and now what do we have over here? H plus G. We cannot combine them, so we just leave it all as letters. All right, in this one, they want us to solve for W. So we have to get W by itself. All right, looks like the first thing we need to do is move this X. And because that says minus X, I am going to add X to both sides. So these are going to cancel out, and we're left with 3W. Now what do we have on the other side is A plus X. All right, we still have a number by the W, and because that says 3 times W, the opposite of times is divide, so I am going to divide both sides by 3. So these 3's cancel out, and I have 1 W, so I'm just going to write that as W equals, and notice I'm writing A plus X, and when I divide, you see how that fraction bar goes over the A and the X, all of it divided by 3. So if we were doing orders of operations, we'd have to add the A plus X together first and then divide by 3 if someone gave us some numbers. So this final answer here is A plus X divided by 3. All right, now we need to solve for M. All right, what's by M? We have a J, so we need to add J to both sides. So I still have M divided by 5. These J's are going to cancel out, and I have S plus J. All right, now this says M divided by 5, so the opposite of dividing is multiplying. So I am going to multiply both sides by 5. Over here, these 5's cancel out, and we're left with M equals. Now you can put that 5 in front or you can leave it at the end. So what we have is 5 times, and we still have S plus J. Now you can leave it like that, or if you wanted to, you could do the distributive property, and you can say 5S plus 5J. Either way would be totally acceptable and fine on a test. All right, let's move into the new information here. So yesterday we solved equations with variable terms on both sides, and we maybe used the distributive property and like terms. So we had variables on both sides of the equal sign. Today, we're going to have some special situations or solutions that may show up. So I will explain as we get going here. First of all, there's 2 things that we need to talk about, and one is called the identity in an equation that is true for all values. So if we have something like x equals x, that is a true statement. X always equals x. 5 equals 5. That is a true statement. So what that means is in the equation above it, whatever we had above it, we can put any number into this equation, and whatever we put out, 2, 5, -7, 28, 3/4, it will come out to work. We will end up with a true solution at the end. And when that happens, it means we have infinitely many solutions, or all real numbers is what I like to call it. All real numbers are going to work, which is the number system that we have been working with. Okay, whereas on the other hand, if we end up with a contradiction, does 7 equal 3? And that answer is no. So what happens is that's a contradiction. This is not equal. So that means that there are no solutions. There is no number that we can put in to make this work. All right, let's see how this works in some of our samples here. All right, so we got a long one here to start with. Let me put my line right down the middle. All right, looks like I have some combining like terms that I can do on each side. So if you look, this 10 and this 1 are both on the same side of the equal sign. So what I'm going to do is combine like terms to simplify. 10 plus 1 is 11, and then we still have our minus 5x. All right, over here we have 7x and a negative 12x. Those are also like terms. So I'm going to leave this 11, my equal sign, I'm going to leave my 11, and 7 minus 12 is going to be a negative 5x. Now some people right here can see that both sides are exactly the same thing. And when both sides are exactly the same, that means that we can put in any real number. So the answer is all real numbers is the answer. Some people need to go a little bit further. So they may subtract 11 and subtract 11. And when you do that, we get a 0. So we're left with negative 5x. This cancels, and we have negative 5x. Well, that's exactly the same thing, negative 5x and a negative 5x. So when it's exactly the same thing on both sides, that means that any real number will work. Now, some kids might even go further and divide by a negative 5. And they end up with x equals x. We still have the exact same thing on both sides, and so the answer is still all real numbers. What that means is you can pick any number you want and put it in and it's going to work. So let's just pick a small number like 2. And if I put a 2 in for x, a 2 in for x, and a 2 in for x, what does that mean? It means we have 10 minus 10 plus 1. So 10 minus 10 is 0, so we end up with 1. All right, what do we end up with on the other side? 7 times 2 is 14, plus 11, and minus 12 times 2 is a negative 24. Okay, so if we grab our calculator and go 14 plus 11 minus 24, what do we end up with? And we end up with 1. 1 equals 1. So we just randomly picked a number 2 and it worked. You can go through, stop this video right now, and you can just put a 5. Put a 5 in here for x. Put a 5. Put a 5. Put a 5 and do the math and see what happens. And you're still going to end up with a true statement. That's why we have all real numbers for the solution. All right, let's try another one. All right, 4y and y, they're on the same side, so I'm just going to combine. 4y minus 1y is 3y, and I still have my plus 7. All right, over here, well, it looks like I have 10 plus 3y, so 10 plus 3y, and some of you can maybe answer right now, but we can get our letters together, so I'm going to subtract 3y from both sides. So this cancels out, and I have 7. This cancels out, and I have 10. Does 7 equal 10? No, this is what we call a contradiction, so there are no solutions. No solutions to this problem. There is no number that you can plug in to make this work. If you want to pause it and try lots, go ahead and try them. All right, let's try another one. All right, I'm going to get my letters together. So I'm going to subtract 3y. Subtract 3y. So I get 4y minus 6 equals 14. Add 6, add 6. So 4y equals 20. And that says 4 times y. The opposite of times is divide. So I'm going to divide, and I get y equals 5. Okay, this one worked out. It went all the way through, and we could solve it, and we get y equals 5. This is not a special situation, but we did find the answer. Y is 5. All right, let's try another one. Whew, long one again. Okay, so this 2c and c are on the same side. 2c plus c is 1c, so we get 3c plus 7. All right, negative 14, that's a c and a 21. So we have 21 minus 14 is 7 plus 3c. So some of you right now can see, even though the order is different, remember we have that commutative property where we can switch them. So I can say 3c plus 7, and I can switch this order, 3c plus 7, using my commutative property. They're exactly the same thing. So this means all real numbers. Now, some of you might keep going, and that's totally fine. If you subtract 3c, you get 7 equals 7. It's still all real numbers. Oof does. All right, we got the distributive property here. 3 times 2n is 6n. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. Then we have our plus 5. Distribute over here. 6 times n is 6n. 6 times 1 plus 6. All right, over here it looks like I have some like terms. So I have 6n and negative 3 plus 5 is a plus 2. 6n plus 6. Okay, let's get our letters together. So I'm going to subtract 6n, and some of you maybe already know the answer back from that step, but this is going to cancel. So we have 2 equals, and this is going to cancel, and we have 6. Does 2 equal 6? And the answer is no. So there are no solutions to this problem. There's no number that we can put in that will work. All right, let's try this one. Letters are on opposite sides. So I'm going to get my letters together, and they're on opposite sides. So I'm going to do the opposite operation by moving the smaller number. So this is 6x. So I'm going to subtract 6x. 8x minus 6x is 2x. Then we still have my negative 2 and my negative 10. Okay, this canceled out. So because that says negative 2, I'm going to add 2. Use your calculator so you get this math right. So negative 10 plus 2 is a negative 8. That says 2 times x. The opposite of times is divide. So x equals a negative 4. Okay, so sometimes we end up with 5 equals 5. If we do, then it's all real numbers. Sometimes we end up with 5 equals 12. Well, we know that that's not true. It's a contradiction. So there are no solutions to that. And sometimes we actually come up with a letter, x equals negative 4. Okay, so we got to be paying attention for all of those situations here. All right, we are at your homework time. So good luck on your homework for today.